It's important nowadays to just be mindful of seed oils because pretty much they're in every food you could possibly imagine, even the health foods. We're going to get into, first of all, what are seed oils and how we can hopefully avoid them as much as possible. Seed oils, also known as vegetable oils, they're extracted from vegetable crops like soybeans, cottonseed, and corn. And it's this intensive processing. You can actually just Google it. It's pretty crazy, typically involved in high heat, chemical solvents, and this deodorization, which doesn't look like you should consume it, and yet they're in most foods. They were originally byproducts of manufacturing during the industrial age. They weren't initially intended for the dinner table, let's just say that. But by like the mid-1900s, seed oils have become a staple ingredient in packaged foods. Cheap and easy to use by the food industry, and it sort of, I think, reshaped the Western diet. In short, it's probably one of the single biggest changes in the U.S. diet in the last 150 years. I had Dr. Chris Kenobi on. We talked all about this. I'll leave a link for that interview if you want to dive even more into seed oils. And he sort of talks about, the Ancestral Diet Revolution, which is his book. But anyways, we all know that there is some toxicity to these seed oils. Now, what can they potentially cause over time and why? Well, I'm going to give you a list of them here. One of them is what's called fat cell expansion. And consuming too much linoleic acid causes fat cells to grow beyond their healthy size. Number 2 is release of fatty acids. And these oversized fat cells are released into the bloodstream, and this could cause an upstream of health issues. One of them is triggering inflammation, and something that obviously inflammation, there's good and there's bad. And this is bad inflammation, which is a natural response to like cellular stress. Next is what's called metabolic disruption, where there's chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation can signal insulin resistance, making it difficult for cells to absorb glucose and raising blood sugar. Next is increased risk of chronic disease. Prolonged insulin resistance can lead to chronic diseases like diabetes, heart disease, and other serious illnesses. So the bottom line is, over the past century or so, seed oil consumption has skyrocketed, along with rates of chronic disease. Now, you can obviously point to other lifestyle factors, but there's actually sort of like this common theme where seed oils have just been so prevalent in our diet over the last 50 to 100 years that chronic disease and the prevalence in America has gone up from, like in the 40s, it was 7.5% of individuals, the percentage of population. Now it's up to almost 60% of the population has some type of chronic disease. So now I'm going to give the comprehensive list of oils to avoid. Now, like I mentioned before, they are commonly found in processed foods, even some health food products. So you want to sort of recognize the names of these seed oils. And let me just run through it. You can probably make a song of it if you really want to. Canola oil, corn oil, cottonseed oil, flaxseed oil, grapeseed oil, hemp seed oil, rice bran oil, safflower, sesame, soybean, sunflower. So there's your list. Pretty comprehensive. Some of the most common sources of seed oils are in processed foods, obviously. Chips, cookies, cereal, granola bars, like I mentioned to you, salad dressings, condiments, even infant formula, breads and tortillas. You can find them in peanut butter, margarine, and butter alternatives. A lot of these dairy alternatives, like the oat milks, the almond milks, and on the other hand, meat alternatives, like Beyond Burger, and all these different meat alternatives have come out claiming they're healthy, but they're just packed with seed oils. So keep an eye on to that. One of the questions that comes up a lot is olive oil a seed oil, and what about avocado oil? They are not seed oils. They come from fruit and are definitely less processed, and they contain significantly lower amounts of linoleic acid. I would just say regarding olive oil and avocado oils, you just want to make sure, be mindful of the sourcing of these oils. Because a lot of times these brands will say it's sort of a mixed oil, or even if it says olive oil and avocado oil, 75% of it is soybean or canola or other oils mixed in there. So just make sure you know the sourcing of your oil. Olive oil, you want to look for cold pressed, extra virgin, and make sure it's in a dark glass bottle for optimal freshness. Now, palm oil, this could come under some confusion. Palm oil is not a seed oil. It's sourced from a fruit of a palm tree and contains about 10% linoleic acid. You just want to beware of refined palm oil and the refining process, because some factories that produce this may produce some harmful toxins within it. So I would say it's best to avoid palm oil, but palm oil is not a seed oil. And then coconut oil, I think coconut oil is a great sort of option because it's composed primarily of saturated fats. Very little linoleic acid, probably 1 to 2%, particularly what's called MCTs, making it stable at high temperatures and definitely can support metabolic health. So I'm a big fan of using coconut oil and cooking it with that. I would look for the raw, unrefined options. Fried foods would be a great place to start avoiding, because any restaurant or any place where you buy fried foods, they are using seed oils to fry them in. And cooking and frying at those high temperatures, probably the worst thing you can do for your body. Now, I know we all like fried foods from time to time, and it's not about being perfect, but if you could, and there are some brands who are starting to fry these foods in healthier fats, whether it's tallow or ghee, but essentially, if you are going to fry or cook at higher temperatures, here's a list of healthy fats that are ranked from highest to lowest as far as smoke point. Now, the highest is ghee. I love using ghee. And next is tallow, which is about 400 degrees for the smoke point. Avocado oil, unrefined, olive oil, and then coconut oil and butter, all great choices for high heat. But you're seeing this from time to time, even sweet potatoes and plantains where they're using ghee or tallow, because this is a much healthier and stable cooking option. And obviously, like I mentioned before, animal fats are the best way to go when it comes to cooking. 1 to 2% linoleic acid. The rest are stable and mainly saturated in some monosaturated fats as well, which are definitely less prone to oxidation. Also, they contain something called stearic acid, which is a fatty acid that's found in suet, and that can help actually signal fat cells to actually shrink. The bottom line is our Western diet has become inundated with these seed oils, and if we can just make a shift to avoid it 80-90% of the time, eliminating them altogether would be great for optimal health and well-being. The best way to support your metabolic health right off the bat is by choosing nutrient-dense animal fats rich in saturated fats. So these small changes can make a big difference, and just start reading labels and choosing unprocessed foods. And you're not only going to protect your health, but your family's health. I think each step to reduce these seed oils is a step toward a healthier, happier life. If you want my step-by-step blueprint on how to get your body back to what it once was 10 to 15 years ago without rearranging your life, click the first link below. If you enjoyed this content, YouTube thinks you'll like this next video.